Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. Sabrina and Michael strolled hand in hand through the quaint neighborhood. Jack-o'-lanterns grinned from porches and fake cobwebs draped over bushes, setting the perfect mood for Halloween. "So, have you decided on a costume yet?" Sabrina asked, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Michael shrugged. "Not really. I was thinking maybe a vampire or something simple." Sabrina stopped walking and turned to face him, a sly smile playing on her lips. "What if I told you I had the perfect idea?" "Oh?" Michael raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her mysterious tone. "How about you go as a girl?" Michael's heart skipped a beat. He'd always been fascinated by the idea of cross-dressing, but had never had the courage to admit it to anyone, not even Sabrina. That's an interesting idea," he stammered, trying to hide his excitement. Sabrina squeezed his hand. "Come on, I know you've always been curious. I've seen the way you look at my clothes sometimes." Michael's cheeks flushed. "You noticed? Of course, silly. I'm your girlfriend. I notice everything about you." She leaned in close, her voice dropping to a whisper. "And I think you'd look absolutely gorgeous." Relief washed over Michael. He'd been carrying this secret for so long, afraid of how Sabrina might react. But here she was, not only accepting, but encouraging him. "You really wouldn't mind?" "Mind? I'd love it." Sabrina's eyes lit up. "In fact, I have the perfect plan. My aunts are in town and they're amazing with makeup and fashion. They could help transform you completely." Michael's curiosity got the better of him. "Transform me? What do you mean?" Sabrina bit her lip, hesitating for a moment. "Well, my aunts, they have a special talent. Let's just say they can work a little magic." "Magic?" Michael chuckled. "Like Harry Potter stuff?" Sabrina playfully swatted his arm. "No, not like that. It's more subtle. They can enhance your features, make you look and feel completely feminine, but only if you want to, of course." Michael's mind raced with possibilities. The chance to fully embrace his feminine side, even if just for one night, was too tempting to pass up. I think I'd like that," he said softly. Sabrina beamed, pulling him into a tight hug. "Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Let's go meet my aunts right now." They hurried through the leaf-strewn streets, the excitement building with each step. Sabrina's aunts lived in an old Victorian house on the outskirts of town, its gingerbread trim and tower adding to its mystical aura. As they approached the front door, it swung open before they could knock. Two women stood in the doorway, their silver hair shimmering in the late afternoon light. "Sabrina, darling!" the taller one exclaimed, pulling her niece into a warm embrace. "And this must be Michael?" the other aunt said, her eyes twinkling as she appraised him. Sabrina made the introductions. "Michael, these are my aunts, Vivian and Esmeralda. Aunties, this is my boyfriend, Michael." "Pleased to meet you," Michael said, suddenly feeling a bit nervous. Vivian winked at him. "No need to be shy, dear. Sabrina's told us all about your little Halloween plan." Come in," Esmeralda ushered them inside. "We have so much to do!" The interior of the house was a curious blend of antique furniture and modern amenities. Crystals and dried herbs hung from the ceiling, and the air was heavy with the scent of incense. "Now then," Vivian said, guiding Michael to a plush armchair. "Let's talk about what kind of look you're going for." Michael glanced at Sabrina, who gave him an encouraging nod. I'm not sure. I've never done this before." Esmeralda clapped her hands together. "Oh, a blank canvas! How exciting! What do you think, Vivian? Perhaps a classic beauty look?" Vivian circled Michael, studying him intently. Yes. I'm thinking long flowing hair, maybe a deep auburn, and those cheekbones. We'll accentuate those beautifully." As the aunts discussed his transformation, Michael felt a mix of nervousness and anticipation. This was really happening. Sabrina knelt beside him, taking his hand. "You okay? We can stop any time if you're uncomfortable." Michael squeezed her hand. "No, I want to do this. It's just, A lot to take in. I understand, but trust me, you're going to look amazing. Vivian approached with a small, ornate bottle. Now, Michael, this is a special blend we've created. It will help enhance your natural feminine features. Are you ready? Michael took a deep breath and nodded. I'm ready. Vivian uncorked the bottle, and a shimmering mist enveloped Michael. He closed his eyes, feeling a tingling sensation spread throughout his body. When he opened them again, he gasped. His reflection in the mirror across the room showed a softer, more feminine version of himself. His jawline had softened, his lips fuller, and his eyelashes longer. Even his body seemed to have subtly changed, with a more pronounced waist and slightly fuller chest. Oh my, he whispered, his voice coming out higher and smoother than before. Sabrina's eyes widened in amazement. Michael, you look beautiful. Esmeralda clapped her hands together. We're just getting started, dear. Now for the fun part, makeup and wardrobe. The next hour was a whirlwind of activity. The aunts worked their magic, both literal and figurative, transforming Michael into a vision of femininity. They applied makeup with expert precision, enhancing his already delicate features. Long auburn hair extensions were seamlessly blended with his own hair, cascading down his back in loose waves. Finally, they presented him with an outfit, a stunning emerald green dress that hugged his new curves perfectly, paired with black stiletto heels. As Michael, now looking every bit a beautiful woman, stood before the full-length mirror, he barely recognized himself. The person staring back at him was gorgeous, confident, and undeniably feminine. What do you think? Sabrina asked softly, coming to stand beside him. Michael turned, marveling at how natural the movement felt in heels. I don't know what to say. Is that really me? Vivian smiled warmly. It is, dear. We've simply brought out what was already there, hidden beneath the surface. Michael ran his hands down the silky fabric of the dress, relishing the feeling against his skin. He'd never felt so comfortable, so right. You need a name, Esmeralda mused. For tonight, at least. Sabrina's eyes lit up. How about Michelle? The name resonated within Michael, feeling as natural as the dress he wore. Michelle, he repeated, loving how it sounded in his new feminine voice. I like it. As the group prepared to leave for the Halloween party, Michelle couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. The thought of this only lasting for one night suddenly seemed unbearable. Sabrina must have sensed her mood shift. Hey, what's wrong? Michelle sighed, struggling to put her feelings into words. It's just, I've never felt so comfortable, so much like myself. The idea of going back to being Michael tomorrow. Sabrina took Michelle's hands in hers, her expression serious. Who says you have to? Michelle's eyes widened. What do you mean? I mean, Sabrina said slowly, that if this is who you truly are, who you want to be, then maybe it doesn't have to be just for Halloween. Michelle's heart raced at the possibility. But how? The magic will wear off, won't it? Vivian and Esmeralda exchanged knowing looks. Not necessarily, dear, Vivian said. Our magic simply revealed what was already within you. If this is your true self, it can be permanent. But only if that's what you want, Esmeralda added quickly. The choice is entirely yours. Michelle looked at Sabrina, searching her face for any sign of hesitation or doubt. And you? Would you be okay with this? With me being Michelle? Permanently? Sabrina cupped Michelle's face in her hands. I love you. Whether you're Michael or Michelle, that doesn't change. I want you to be happy, to be your true self. If that's Michelle, then I'm here for it, 100%. Tears welled up in Michelle's eyes, smudging the carefully applied mascara. I love you too, she whispered. Vivian cleared her throat softly. You don't have to decide right now. Go to the party, enjoy the night, see how it feels to be Michelle in the world. Then when you're ready, let us know your decision. Michelle nodded, grateful for the chance to experience life as her feminine self before making such a monumental choice. The Halloween party was in full swing when they arrived. Michelle felt a flutter of nervousness as they approached the entrance, suddenly aware of the eyes turning toward her. "You've got this," Sabrina whispered, giving her hand a reassuring squeeze. As they entered, Michelle was struck by how different the experience was from her previous Halloween parties. Men held doors open for her, offered to get her drinks. Women complimented her dress and asked about her makeup routine. Throughout the night, Michelle found herself relaxing into her new role. She laughed, danced, and chatted with ease, feeling more social and outgoing than she ever had as Michael. It was as if a weight had been lifted, allowing her true personality to shine through. At one point, she caught her reflection in a mirror and paused, struck once again by her transformation. But this time, instead of shock, she felt a sense of rightness, of coming home to herself. As the party wound down, Sabrina found Michelle sitting alone on a couch, lost in thought. "Hey there, beautiful. How are you holding up?" Michelle smiled, taking Sabrina's hand. "Honestly, I've never felt better. This night, it's been amazing." Sabrina sat down beside her, their shoulders touching. "So, have you given any thought to what you want to do?" Michelle took a deep breath, knowing her answer would change everything. "I have. Sabrina, being Michelle, it feels right. More right than anything has ever felt before. I think this is who I'm meant to be." Sabrina's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered, pulling Michelle into a tight embrace. As they left the party, hand in hand, Michelle felt a sense of excitement for the future. There would be challenges ahead, no doubt. Explaining to friends and family, navigating the world as a woman, building a new life. But with Sabrina by her side and the support of Vivian and Esmeralda, she felt ready to face whatever came her way. The cool night air kissed her skin as they walked home, the fallen leaves crunching beneath her heels. Michelle breathed deeply, savoring the scent of autumn and new beginnings. "So," Sabrina said, a playful lilt in her voice, "I guess we'll need to go shopping soon. Can't have you wearing my clothes all the time." Michelle laughed, the sound light and musical. "I don't know, I kind of like the idea of raiding your closet." They bantered back and forth, discussing future plans and potential outfit ideas. As they approached Vivian and Esmeralda's house, Michelle felt a sense of peace settle over her. The aunts were waiting on the porch, steaming mugs of tea in hand. Their knowing smiles told Michelle they already sensed her decision. "Welcome home, Michelle," Vivian said warmly. Esmeralda nodded, her eyes twinkling. "Are you ready to begin your new life?" Michelle looked at Sabrina, who squeezed her hand encouragingly. With a smile that radiated confidence and joy, she nodded. "Yes," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I'm ready." As they stepped into the house, leaving behind the last vestiges of Michael, Michelle felt a surge of excitement. The future stretched out before her, full of possibilities and promise. Michelle sat on the porch swing of Vivian and Esmeralda's Victorian home, her emerald dress shimmering in the early morning light. The events of the past 24 hours played through her mind like a surreal dream, yet the reality of her transformation was undeniable. Sabrina emerged from the house, carefully balancing 2 steaming mugs of coffee. She handed one to Michelle before settling beside her on the swing. "How are you feeling?" Sabrina asked, her voice soft with concern. Michelle took a sip of the rich, dark brew before answering. "Honestly, I'm terrified, but also exhilarated. It's like I've been holding my breath my entire life and I've finally exhaled." Sabrina reached out, intertwining her fingers with Michelle's. "We'll face this together, every step of the way." The screen door creaked open as Vivian and Esmeralda joined them on the porch, their silver hair gleaming in the morning sun. "Good morning, dears," Vivian said, her eyes twinkling. "I trust you both slept well?" Michelle nodded, offering a shy smile. "As well as could be expected, given the circumstances. I I can't thank you both enough for what you've done for me." Esmeralda waved her hand dismissively. "Nonsense, child. We merely helped you become who you were always meant to be." "Speaking of which," Vivian interjected, "we should discuss the practicalities of your transition. The magic we used last night was temporary, designed to give you a taste of life as Michelle. If you truly wish to make this permanent, there are certain rituals we'll need to perform." Michelle's grip on Sabrina's hand tightened. "Rituals? What kind of rituals?" "Nothing too dramatic, dear," Esmeralda assured her. "Think of it as a magical hormone therapy, if you will. It will gradually reshape your body to match your inner self. But it's not instantaneous," Vivian added. "The process will take time, just as a natural transition would. You'll need to be patient." Michelle nodded, a determined glint in her eye. "I understand. I'm ready for whatever it takes." Sabrina squeezed her hand supportively. "And I'll be right here with you, every step of the way." The group fell into a comfortable silence, watching as the neighborhood slowly came to life. Jack-o'-lanterns that had grinned so menacingly the night before now seemed to offer friendly smiles in the morning light. "So?" Sabrina said, breaking the quiet. "What's our first step?" Vivian stood, brushing off her flowing skirt. "Well, I believe a shopping trip is in order. Can't have our Michelle wearing borrowed clothes forever, can we?" Michelle's eyes widened. "Shopping? I don't know the first thing about shopping for women's clothes." Esmeralda chuckled. "That's what we're here for, dear. Between the four of us, we'll have you outfitted in no time." The rest of the morning passed. Michelle showered, marveling at the feeling of her long hair cascading down her back. Sabrina helped her with makeup, their laughter echoing through the bathroom as Michelle struggled with the intricacies of eyeliner. By the time they were ready to leave, Michelle felt a newfound confidence settling over her. She'd chosen a simple sundress from Sabrina's closet, paired with comfortable flats. As she caught her reflection in the hallway mirror, she barely recognized the woman staring back at her. And yet she'd never felt more like herself. The local mall was bustling with post-Halloween sales, but Michelle found herself too excited to be nervous about the crowds. With Vivian and Esmeralda leading the way, they wove through the throngs of shoppers, stopping at various stores to build Michelle's new wardrobe. "Now, dear," Vivian said as they entered a lingerie store, "this might be a bit overwhelming, but it's essential. The right foundation garments can make all the difference." Michelle felt her cheeks flush as they perused the racks of bras and panties. Sabrina, sensing her discomfort, pulled her aside. "Hey, it's okay to feel overwhelmed," she whispered. "This is all new, but remember, you're not alone in this." Michelle nodded, taking a deep breath. "You're right. It's just, there's so much to learn. And you've got plenty of time to learn it all," Sabrina reassured her. "For now, let's focus on finding you some comfortable basics, okay?" With Sabrina's support and the aunt's expert guidance, Michelle gradually relaxed into the shopping experience. By the time they stopped for lunch at the food court, their arms were laden with bags from various stores. As they settled at a table with their meals, Michelle couldn't help but notice the occasional curious glance from passers-by. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Don't mind them, dear," Esmeralda said, noticing Michelle's discomfort. "People are naturally curious, but remember, you have every right to be here just as you are." Michelle nodded, straightening her shoulders. "You're right. I'm not doing anything wrong by being myself." "That's the spirit," Vivian said with a proud smile. "Now eat up. We've still got shoes to shop for." The afternoon passed in a blur of shoe stores, accessories boutiques, and even a quick stop at a salon for a more permanent hair solution. By the time they returned to the aunt's house, Michelle felt as though she'd run a marathon, exhausted but exhilarated. As they sorted through their purchases in the living room, Michelle caught sight of herself in the ornate mirror above the fireplace. She paused, taking in her reflection. The woman staring back at her was undeniably feminine, with flowing auburn hair, subtle makeup, and a stylish outfit. But more than that, she looked happy. truly, genuinely happy. "What are you thinking?" Sabrina asked, coming to stand beside her. Michelle turned, tears glistening in her eyes. "I'm thinking that for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm seeing the real me." Sabrina pulled her into a tight embrace. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. As they broke apart, Vivian cleared her throat. "Now then, if you're both ready, we should begin the first ritual. The sooner we start, the sooner your body can begin its true transformation." Michelle took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "I'm ready." The aunts led them to a small circular room at the back of the house. Candles flickered in wall sconces, casting dancing shadows across the hardwood floor. In the center of the room stood a small altar adorned with crystals, herbs, and a bubbling cauldron. "Don't worry, dear," Esmeralda said, noticing Michelle's wide-eyed expression. "It's all for show. Well, mostly." Vivian gestured for Michelle to stand before the altar. "Now, close your eyes and focus on your breath. Visualize the woman you know yourself to be." As Michelle complied, she felt a warmth spreading through her body. The aunts began to chant in a language she didn't recognize, their voices rising and falling in a hypnotic rhythm. Suddenly, Michelle felt a tingling sensation, starting in her toes and working its way up her body. It wasn't uncomfortable, but it was certainly noticeable. She gasped, her eyes flying open. "It's all right," Sabrina soothed, taking her hand. "You're doing great." The tingling intensified, focusing on specific areas: her chest, her hips, her face. Michelle felt as though her body was being gently reshaped from the inside out. After what felt like hours but was likely only minutes, the sensation began to fade. The ants' chanting quieted, and the room fell silent save for the soft crackling of candles. "It is done," Vivian said softly. "The first step in your journey is complete." Michelle opened her eyes, blinking in the dim light. She didn't feel drastically different, but there was a subtle change, a rightness that hadn't been there before. "How do you feel?" Sabrina asked, her voice filled with concern and curiosity. Michelle took a moment to assess herself. "I feel good, like everything's finally falling into place." Esmeralda approached with a small, ornate bottle. "This potion will help continue the process between our ritual sessions. 3 drops under your tongue each morning and night." As Michelle accepted the bottle, a wave of exhaustion washed over her. The events of the past 2 days suddenly caught up with her, and she swayed on her feet. "I think that's quite enough excitement for one day," Vivian declared. "You both should get some rest. The guest room is all made up for you." As Sabrina led a weary Michelle up the creaking stairs, the reality of her new life began to sink in. There would be challenges ahead: telling her family, navigating the world as a woman, building a new identity. But for the first time, Michelle felt equipped to face those challenges head-on. In the cozy guest room, Michelle changed into a soft nightgown, her first piece of nightwear, she realized with a start. As she slipped under the covers, Sabrina curled up beside her. "You know," Sabrina murmured, her voice thick with sleep, "I always knew you were special. I just never realized how special until now." Michelle felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." As she drifted off to sleep, Michelle's mind wandered to the future stretching out before her. It was uncertain, yes, but also filled with possibility. She was Michelle now, truly and completely. And tomorrow she would begin the rest of her life. The soft light of dawn filtered through the lace curtains, rousing Michelle from a deep, dreamless sleep. For a moment she lay still, savoring the warmth of Sabrina beside her and the softness of the nightgown against her skin. Then, with a start, she remembered. This wasn't a dream. This was her new reality. Careful not to wake Sabrina, Michelle slipped out of bed and padded to the adjoining bathroom. She stared at her reflection in the mirror, searching for any changes the ritual might have wrought overnight. Her features seemed softer somehow, more delicate, though she couldn't pinpoint exactly what had changed. Taking the ornate bottle from the counter, Michelle carefully measured out 3 drops under her tongue, just as Esmeralda had instructed. The liquid tasted of honey and lavender, with an underlying tang she couldn't quite place. As she went through her morning routine showering, drying her long hair, applying the makeup Sabrina had taught her to use, Michelle felt a growing sense of excitement. Today was the first full day of her new life, and she was determined to embrace every moment of it. Downstairs, she found Vivian and Esmeralda already bustling about the kitchen, the air filled with the aroma of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon. "Good morning, dear," Vivian said warmly. "How did you sleep?" "Like a rock," Michelle admitted, accepting a steaming mug of coffee. "I think yesterday finally caught up with me." Esmeralda nodded knowingly. Magical transformations can take a lot out of a person. "But you're looking radiant this morning." As they settled around the kitchen table, plates piled high with a hearty breakfast, Michelle broached the subject that had been weighing on her mind. "I've been thinking," she began hesitantly, "about how to tell my family. They don't even know I've been questioning my gender, let alone that I've decided to transition." Vivian reached across the table, patting Michelle's hand reassuringly. "There's no rush, dear. Take the time you need to figure out how you want to approach this. But," Esmeralda added, "don't wait too long. The changes will become more noticeable as time goes on, and it's better they hear it from you than through the grapevine." Michelle nodded, grateful for their advice. "You're right, I think I'd like to tell them soon, maybe even today." Just then, Sabrina entered the kitchen, her hair tousled from sleep. "Tell who what?" she asked, stifling a yawn. "My family," Michelle explained. "About, well, everything." Sabrina's eyes widened as she took a seat next to Michelle. "Wow, that's a big step. Are you sure you're ready?" Michelle took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "I think so. I mean, I'm nervous as hell, but I don't want to hide who I am anymore, and I'd like you to be there with me, if you're willing." Sabrina's face softened, and she leaned in to press a gentle kiss to Michelle's cheek. "Of course I'll be there. We're in this together, remember?" After breakfast, Michelle retreated to the guest room to make the call. Her hands shook as she dialed her parents' number, and she found herself grateful for Sabrina's steady presence beside her. "Hello?" Her mother's voice came through the speaker, and Michelle felt her heart leap into her throat. "Hi, Mom," she said, wincing at how her voice cracked. "Is Dad there too? I need to talk to you both about something important." There must have been something in her tone that conveyed the gravity of the situation, because her mother didn't ask questions. A moment later, she heard her father's deep voice join the call. "What's going on, son? Is everything all right?" Michelle closed her eyes, steeling herself. "Mom, Dad, there's something I need to tell you, something I've been struggling with for a long time." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.